So through the democratic socialism, we get the revival of oligarchism, meaning the few are able to rule and command. So there's only like 2,000 billionaires on the planet. And there's maybe 15, 16 million millionaires on the planet. So everybody else is technically broke. Yeah, because that's also an allegory of Dante's descent into hell. It's also the continuation of Willy Wonka, part 2 of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Snowpiercer is. The dude who run the train is actually was Wally, was the little kid in Willy Wonka. He grew up to create the train that saved humanity or whatever. That's why you had to have the ticket, the golden ticket to get on the train and all that stuff. But that oligarchism set to form the power structure in which the power rests in a small number of people. These people may be distinguished by what? Nobility, wealth, education, corporate, religious, political, or military control. You see, such states, see now all of these are states. Such states are often controlled by families who typically pass their influence from one generation to the next, but inheritance is not necessarily the condition for application to this term. So this would represent the celebrity class and anybody in a well-to-do position, right? Because all of these people are technically democratic socialists, whether they are Republican or not, or libertarian or whatever or not. Anybody that's not striving to create the equal, to apply the equal footing doctrine to quote unquote black people, whether they have declared themselves or not, is down with it. That's why they marry each other, no matter what color they are, and money marry money. And have such arcane, crazy, bloodletting or whatever type of rituals to make sure that they always maintain a certain level of understanding of that. Being able to reach the higher levels of the lower self. If you understand what I mean. The highest level of the reptilian brain, which is really the lowest level of the brain itself. So that's where they always strive to function from. And these man-made ideological social states or constructs are how they manipulate the so-called black man and woman to participate in the whole thing. I told you they can't stop you, so they got to get you to identify with one of these things. And if you identify with this, because you understand, each one of these is also backed by a sexual preference. Nationalists, usually heterosexual. Communists, homosexual or asexual. Capitalists, any way it goes. Democratic socialists, they into the other stuff. This is where the other stuff starts coming in. The trans and all that other crazy stuff. The oligarchists, these are the people creating the procedures and the programs and whatever to do that. And then all of it is filtered through Darwinism. If you're dealing with cities, then it's a form of what the comic book or book Mortal Engines refer to as Municipal Darwinism, which is a fictional idea. But if you think about it, don't cities compete for control or viability over what state is going to win the Super Bowl? So if cities are competing in capitalism and capitalism is being basically funded by democratic socialists, right? And that democratic socialism is creating a fake war against what? Communism, right? To mask the fact that they're all participating and being controlled by oligarchism. The Darwinism is what allows them to get us to fight one another. And then we mistakenly call all of this white supremacy. You understand? Now, as you see, in the only thing that ever spoke of people was what? Well, in terms of the religion, in terms of this graph right here, that I'm showing you, out of all of the different systems, what was the only thing that actually described and referenced living people? Exactly. Nationalism. Exactly. Exactly. The devil speak with a forked tongue. So anything that when you become a voter and you're registering to vote, you're actually casting a ballot. The word cast, what's the difference between casting a ballot and casting a lot or casting a spell? You're hoping, you're putting something in a universe to get an outcome, correct? So you're participating in witchcraft, right? If you on a basic level, right? So when people are urging you to vote, they're urging you to practice a form of magic to their benefit, though. Right? Because that's your wish, that's your power, right? That's what they keep telling you. You have the power. That's why Puppy was brainwashing people, telling them vote or die. Remember that? Threatening you, threatening the youth. You understand? So what is white supremacy? White supremacy is a term used to categorize various belief systems. See? The various belief systems. What were we just showing? What I'm just showing you. This is what it really is. That are central to which are one more of the following tenets. One, white should have dominance over people of other backgrounds, right? In all of these systems, right? Darwinism, white people running it. Oligarchism, white people running it. Democratic socialism, white people running it. Capitalism, white people running it, right? Communism, white people running it, right? Nationalism. When was the last time you ever heard of them? Whenever they speak of nationals, they only speak of you as a national when you're foreign or you somewhere else, whatever you're a national, whatever country. But when the president speaks of it, he's speaking of it in terms of the debt that the U.S. owes the national government, that you and I are guaranteed at our birth, so long as we are not citizens, what they perceive as United States citizens. But a United States citizen is different than a citizen of the United States. That's just another laborious way of going around saying a national. Because one is protected by, again, a Republican form of government, and the other is subject to a uniform code that was established in 1871. So how could something in 1871 have more precedence of something that was put in stone in 3 BC? You know what I'm saying? In 32 BC or whenever Periplus was written. The feds are the so-called United States, the cog, the agency that's there to do the bidding or for the nationals. But the national government is hijacked and done away with, and its descendants are put in perpetual prison camps that they refer to as ghettos. And the only way out that they perceive is to participate in one of the systems that we have just found out are all what? If we add nationalism, communism, capitalism, democratic socialism, oligarchism, and Darwinism, what do we get? We get white supremacy. And there's others. There's others. Just like they invent genders and all that, there's other aspects of this that they have categorized as well. I don't want to get into all of that. But what I'm saying is that's the basis. What we keep talking about is this idea of white people hating us and doing these evil things to us. Yes, all of that's true, but you have to understand there's a method to how they're able to do it. They fool themselves into believing that all of these systems are different. You see what I'm saying? So they train most young white males to be Darwinistic. They don't have a free radical way of thinking. And the ones that do are automatically set upon by the ones that they've trained in their societies to curb their natural influence or ability to see human beings for what they really are. And the same for so-called black kids. When was this implemented? This was implemented during the busing situation. Where you had to actually have armed guards walk little black girls to school to prove a point that white people had to open their schools to us. And did we benefit from it? They actually had to make laws to allow so-called Asiatic people to go to school, so-called black Negroes to go to school. They had to make laws to stop certain types of killings of Asiatics. So they said, oh, well, we got you from Africa. Well, this is a paper that was written by a guy named Kenneth C. Dick, the Aboriginal and early Spanish name, some Caribbean. The Leeward, which was the Sotavento Islands, which run from Guadeloupe, like the Treaty of Hidalgo, Guadeloupe, and the Saint Guadalupe, to St. Croix, were named the Leeward because the Spaniards, i.e. the Moors, practiced sailing to their leeward. All these islands were said to have been inhabited or in the power of the Caribs, which were, before Caribs, it was Antillians or Antilles, which we also then get the corruption, Atlanteans and whatever. The Carib cannibal tradition began, when they say cannibal, they're saying carnival, began in San Salvador, right? Watlings Island on October 12, 1492, when Cristobal Colon, Christ-bearer colonizer, first stepped to the American shores. These peaceful natives were in fact all of Columbus encountered in his first voyage, belonged to the so-called, Taino culture of the Arawak language group. The Arawaks and Amarin people, Amarin, we remember, means more. We proved that. And the Arawaks and Amarin people came out in various places in South America, probably by way of Peru, Ecuador, Guyana, Colombia, Venezuela, Trinidad, to some of those 3,000 years ago. Now, on the old maps, they talk about Spain and all that, right? They talking about that, but they talking about the Caribbean and all that over here. And they're also naming these places over here, right? Well, on the maps, find one, excuse me. Ah. Oh. Look, that's all over here. That's all it is. New California, ancient California, Kingdom of Guatemala, Kingdom of the Yucatan, Kingdom of Mexico, the Mexico all the way down here, New Santander, Kingdom of Leon. Because all of it's coming out, in my opinion, it's all coming out. He was Asiatic. It's all coming out that he was that Isabella and them was even darker skinned and all of that. Like all of this stuff is coming out. So they got to make TV shows like The White Queen and The White Princess and The Spanish Princess. And you know what I'm saying? You notice what I'm saying? The more and more this stuff comes out, the more we talk about Moors, the more all of these movies and stuff is coming out with them as that. Majority of people watch Game of Thrones as black people.